today's toy spot, we are having a look at the DC Collectibles Batman Arkham Knight, number 7, Catwoman. Along with her whip, Catwoman also gets a couple of pairs of interchangeable hands and comes to us from the folks over at DC Collectibles. Warning, choking hazards, small parts not for children under 3 years of age. This is recommended for ages 14 and up. The side of the box features a wireframe outline of Catwoman. And on the back, the other figures are number 5, Nightwing, number 6, Robin, number 7, Catwoman, number 8, Commissioner Gordon. This is sculpted also by the folks over at Gentle Giant Studios. This also, by the way, is Series 2, so Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up, but when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the DC Collectibles Arkham Knight, number 7, Catwoman. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. I could probably have guessed that Catwoman wasn't going to stand properly, and the culprit is her high heels, but that's okay. We'll get to her in a second. Catwoman actually comes with 2 whips, if you could believe it. One being an actual full-length whip that can unravel and you can have her holding it. The other whip is a closed-up whip, which I like that you would have actually gotten 2. That's a nice touch. As for the whip itself, yeah, as you could probably see it. Oh, there it is right there. I was going to say you may or may not have seen it, but let me just move the arm out of the way. There's a clip point right there, or a little socket point there. You can take the whip, and it fits just into the leg. So if you want to keep the whip not in her hand, you can certainly do it that way if you so wish. I like that a lot. But I think what I might end up doing, though, is just have the whip in her hand. Just for Catwoman, it seems to make a little more sense for her to be wielding the whip. I also like that it flows the way it does, so even if you don't have her, with the whip up, even just having it cascading on the ground is a nice touch, too. Catwoman's other accessories, let's get these out of the way right now. She comes with a pair of clawing hands, with her nails stuck out, as you can see. And she also comes with a pair of closed fists. Welcome the fact that we would have got as much hands as we did. I probably would never display her with closed fists, to be honest. I would either display her with the partially open hands for holding the whip, or I would have had her displayed with the clawing hands. But it's nice that they would include it. We'll put the hands just out of the way. Okay, so let's have a look at the figure itself. I always say overall. I try to find other ways of saying overall, but for the most part, I like the figure. From the bottom of the boot to about here is a really, really good figure. I find the problem, let's just bring the camera up here. I find a bit of the problem stems from the coloring of the face. I feel like the face maybe, and any area where the skin is exposed, so where the top is also zipped open, I just feel like it's maybe on the too pale of a side. The sculpt is gorgeous on the face, and the rest of the body also equally sculpted well, but I feel like the skin maybe is a little on the pale side. And I've noticed that with a lot of DC Collectibles. I don't know why. I know it's not like necessarily the animated series figures because they're pretty true to the source material, but I find like the video game or comic book characters, they last a little while. They've been releasing them with pale skin, and I don't know why they've gone the route of such a pale complexion. Catwoman does have pale skin, yes, but I don't feel like she's got the pale skin that this figure is fully representing. Also, too, I wasn't crazy about the face sculpt, but to be honest, I think a lot of that stemmed from it being in its package, where you couldn't really see the ears very well, and it just looked like a very undefined face. But getting it out, it definitely is a beautiful looking Catwoman, complete with the ears and the goggles, which, if you are wondering, are not movable. They're sculpted into the cowl itself. It's a great face. I like the eyes. The outlining that they put on the eyes kind of gives her a bloodied eye look a little bit. I like the wetness on the lips. I find she has a very feminine face. But I find the downside, though, is the figure really needed a little more warmth to it. It just comes across just a little on the pale side, to be honest. If only the coloring was a little deeper, a little warmer, a little redder in the complexion, I think as a whole the figure is phenomenal. It doesn't really have a lot of color, yes, because she's basically just wearing black. There are a few little accent areas where you've got darker gray, like right around her shoulder, her torso area here. She's got darker gray where it's been strapped in. And then there's that breakup where she's got the shinier rubber, shinier material, and then she's got the canvas or I guess fabric material that is definitely a different black. So that's nice that it breaks it up a little bit. It's not just all one color of black. And that also carries down into her leg area too, where the one outer side here is in this rubber, again, latex spandex material, and then on the inside is more like a woven material. So I like that. She does have high heels, so it does make her a little problematic with getting her to stand properly. She unfortunately does not stand very well at all here, but again, like Spot reviews this on a fabric backdrop, so sometimes even something that seems like it has strong enough firm fitting, or foot fitting, I guess, it doesn't actually stand sometimes on this backdrop and ends up just kind of falling over. You can't stand her on a regular flat surface. I don't really have much issues there. I wish she had come with a display stand, but sadly she does not come with one. In the way of her posability, Catwoman does have, as you can see, a very generous ball joint in the head. I'd be almost inclined to kind of even just tip the head and have her angled that way. Shoulders hinge forward as well as they rotate all the way around, but you will have issues when it gets too far up on the shoulder where the cut of the shoulder sticks far enough out that it does rub against this and does really hinder movement on the arm. You could force it, yes, but just run the risk that it could do some damage to the arm socket. The elbows do bend, as well as there's a rotational point in the forearm. A little on the creaky side. She has a hinge also in rotation in the hands. She has an upper torso ball joint. No waist cut where she can swivel. That's not there at all, just due to the way that she's been sculpted. I can understand that. I can see why they would have left that off. And then the legs do have a ball joint. She has a mid-thigh cut where she can swivel. She has a double hinged knee. And finally, she has a hinge foot, which also does serve a little bit as a pivot point too. Great figure. Really like the look of Catwoman here. Again, the only thing I would say is I wish she just had a little bit more warmth in her skin complexion. She comes across just a little too pale. But other than that, really happy with what DC Collectibles did to this piece. Today's Toy Spot, we were having a look at the Batman Arkham Knight Series 2. I believe this was figure number 7. We were looking at Catwoman. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more Toy Spots heading your way. Thanks for watching, as you always do. I'll see you next time.